Well, hello, gamers, and welcome, and thank you for joining us for episode one of our new show, Achievement Chasers, which was a brainchild of my awesome guest here, Dude1286. He messaged me a week or two ago, and he's like, "Hey, you want to do a show about achievements?" I'm like, "Would I?" So here we are. This is going to be a monthly show. Typically, we're going to do it around the end or the beginning of the month and talk about the games that we played over the past month and the achievements we've been hunting, and also about what we're planning on covering over the upcoming month. So, well, welcome, dude, and thank you for bringing this idea and giving us what I assume is going to be an awesome show.
Howdy, yeah, I hope it becomes a norm for both of us.
Yeah, I'm definitely down for it. You know, it's only once a month, so it's pretty easy to fit in.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we already have first person in the chat here, our good buddy Jerry Crow. What's up? He's been messaging me all sorts of audio tips. So I'm not doing OBS today. This is all through Restream, so I don't have as much control of the audio. But I definitely will have to have you show me all the stuff you were trying to tell me last night when I was running through OBS. But
One of
my
these days, maybe
audio
I'll pick his
one.
brain about mine.
Yeah, Jerry Crow is an audio genius, apparently, with all the tips he's given me, because I have no idea what half of what he's telling me is. So, but yeah, so we'll go get right on into it. What do you want to start with?
You know what? I'll start with a game that we actually play. Some of us played with Melee Games over on their stream. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I actually got the physical copy.
Okay,
So
cool.
I mean, I really enjoyed this game whenever I first played it with them, but there were a couple of achievements that were a little grindy because you know how the story mode you have to level up characters, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's just say there's an achievement for maxing out every character that was in the base game.
Okay. Yeah. Is
So
that
that took
basically the last achievement, most
it was
likely?
not the last achievement for me. The last achievement I'll talk about in a moment, but pretty much apparently the fastest way to do it was just keep playing the first level over and over again.
Okay, it's probably a
Of course,
short level.
I could have just
Easy
gone through
for enemy.
every level over and gone through the entire game. But for some reason, I just decided to just go for the first level because then at that point I can listen to podcasts like your open mic and stuff like that.
Well, excellent. Yeah, that's usually what I do when I'm gaming too. As long as it's not something that's super story heavy, like the Telltale games, I'm usually listening to something while I'm gaming.
Yep. And also,
So
there was an achievement for being the game on the hardest difficulty in arcade mode, which means you only get three uh
three
continues
lives.
for no three
Oh, continues.
continues
Okay.
between every player. So it still was best to do it with a random group because more people means more people not making sure other people aren't getting hit. So
Okay. So when you're because I hopped into the melee uh not town square, but the I mean,
community night.
community night for it, kind of late into it. So by the time I think we were only like 3 or 4 levels from the end, so I didn't get very high. We were playing with 4 people, I think. So if you play solo, do you still have all your team with you, or is it just you?
Whenever you play solo, it's just you, but they do have lower amount of enemies. But
Okay, so it does scale
there's still enough enemies they can overwhelm you. So it's still better to do it with a full group.
because then
And
they can revive
the
you.
group I ended up actually completing the arcade mode on the hardest difficulty. I think we only died a couple times throughout the
Now, was
entire
this
run.
someone you got a group you got together for this? Was just a bunch
It
of
was just
randoms?
matchmaking.
Okay,
So people are
yeah,
still
it's
playing
always
that. So
risky.
and since it's also crossplay, you can also get some PC players. So
Yeah, and I thought it left Game Pass, but apparently it didn't, because that's how I was able to play it, is that it was
gotcha.
still in Game Pass. But I might have just been getting it mixed up because I think it got a DLC, or has that not come out yet?
The DLC came out, but technically there's no achievements tied to it,
Oh,
except
okay.
that they changed an old achievement to require you to beat the game with the two new characters, or to
Gotcha.
beat the final level. So they technically, if you haven't gotten that achievement before the DLC came out, you still have to get the DLC to finish the game.
Now, do you know if you're playing with someone else who has the DLC, can you access those characters, or
No, because
okay, so you
whenever
have to get it.
because I think whenever Melee Games was playing, not everyone had the DLC and they couldn't pick those characters.
Okay.
But they
Yeah,
could still,
sometimes.
but the files for the characters are still there so that they can still play with people online.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. Now, did you ever play much of like the classic arcade game
I
Turtles in
I
Time?
play them every now and then, but I do have the arcade cabinet over
Okay.
to the side. So,
Nice. So you have an actual arcade cabinet?
well, it's actually the arcade one up with the two arcade games, the
Okay.
original, the original, and the Turtles in Time.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I never really played much of arcade games, but I do remember playing that one a little bit and the 6-player X-Men one, which I just saw in a tweet yesterday. It's like, I bet that brings back a lot of memories for people.
Sadly, that's been delisted from the Xbox 360 store.
Oh, bummer.
Yep.
So,
I think the last achievement I'll talk about with Shredder's Revenge is that what's funny is that Paul ended up getting it by accident because there is technically a glitch associated with it. So he got it
oh,
the easy way.
it was one of those glitch plus achievements.
Yeah. Well, if you get he got disconnected from the final boss,
Oh, that's right.
and then whenever he came back, we had just defeated him. And when he came back, because he hadn't gotten hit and the boss was dying, he got the achievement for beating the final boss without getting hit.
It
Well,
was
I
funny
ended
because
up
I
doing it.
was in the
I ended
fight
up
the whole
doing it
time, and
legit,
I didn't even get the achievement for beating the boss.
but I
But you
actually
got
ended
it
up doing
legit.
legit. So that
Nice.
was actually pretty difficult. But I just did that off stream, so it took me
Okay.
quite a few tries.
Was
Luckily,
was it pretty infuriating, or was it you just had to kind of get the attack patterns down and
some of it
it
was
became somewhat
infuriating, but the other
difficulty?
other parts it was just getting the patterns down.
Okay. Well, cool.
Luckily, you
All
didn't have to
right.
do luckily the Statue of Liberty didn't count for that portion of the achievement.
Okay, because
You
that's
put
like,
every time you had to reattempt the boss fight, you had to fight the Statue of Liberty again. So that
oh,
was the
but
most
that
annoying
part of the
part.
fight doesn't count towards the getting hit
Achievement.
achievement.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can get hit during that as
So
many times as you want.
just not in the last part.
Hmm.
Okay. And s- um is it like is it easy if you do take damage? Do you basically just have to keep letting them hit you so you can die so you can restart, or was there like a restart checkpoint?
You have to restart. You go back to the menu and then come back into the stage from this beginning. There was no
Oh,
checkpoint system for that.
and play through the whole level again?
Yep. It's
Oh,
because
that
it's because it's that arcade style where when you die, you just come back right in, and if you have to
oh,
continue, you have to restart right there too. Because
that
it's
would
like the
be
drop in, drop
annoying.
out type.
So every time you get hit, and then you get so when you if you did get hit during the final boss, did you keep going to get better at the boss fight, or did you basically quit out and start the level over again right away?
I tend to just quit out and come back in because there's only like one new move that he does at the end after about the halfway point,
Okay,
and that's the
so
one where
once you're
he has like the 4 clones that send projectiles at you.
gotcha. Okay, I do remember that. So,
That's like his only
how
new
many
move.
how many times do you think, if you had to guesstimate, it took you to beat to get that one?
Around 30 or 40 times.
Oh my goodness! And how long is that last level getting up to the boss?
Oh, it's not that long. It's just the 2 bosses. That's it.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you have to play through a whole stage and then get to the boss. The last
Yeah,
level is
it's just
basically just boss rush almost.
two new bosses. Yeah.
Okay, that's not too bad. So, but we got a couple others in the chat here. Static, hello. It was great having you on for open mic last night, and Insidious Bliss is here as well. Hello, glad you guys could join us. So, and Jerry Crow says, "Dude is an effing beast gamer. I've seen his work.
I
Yes, he
try my
has.
best.
Um, he has. I haven't looked in detail into his gamer card, but he does have a higher ratio than me, which is definitely impressive. Not that my ratio is terribly high. I have been working on getting it higher, but it is a impressive ratio, which is a good thing. Not like getting ratioed on Twitter, which is a bad thing. Higher ratio means more difficulty in your achievements. So,
Yeah.
um, so let's see. I think I'll kind of go in reverse order of I have them listed here because I have them listed basically from most recent to oldest. So I'll start kind of at the beginning of the month. Um, the so I basically started playing it in July, and I've been playing it off and on. So I still haven't finished it, but is Assassin's Creed Syndicate. And the most annoying thing is there are a bunch of glitched achievements and not in the good way. So I think I had the game does have good achievement progress tracking. So for achievements that have like, hey, do this X amount of times, you can see the progress track for all
So
of
like
those
Gears of War
achievements.
3, how
Um,
Gears did it for 3.
essentially, but in Gears, since they didn't have achievement progress tracking on Xbox 360 games,
Yeah,
it would have to be
they did.
built into the game.
They did
So
have
you
to
could,
build it into the game.
yeah, so you have to go into the menu. But in Xbox One and beyond, they built it into the system. It's up to the developers to implement it. So you can have achievements that say do this action 10 times, but it doesn't track because the developers didn't bother doing it. But that's always a
Yeah,
bonus is when developers do put in the little extra work so that you can track those
I
achievements,
had one of
especially
those.
if they're ones.
I had an achievement that did that glitched out because it counted in game but not in the tracker.
Oh, yeah,
And then because
that
of that, I had to restart the entire game over.
yeah. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. Um, but it's especially helpful when you have achievements that have huge progress markers, like gain, earn 1 million credits or whatever. So it's a very long process.
Oh,
So it's
well,
nice when you
game
can.
I'll talk about later actually had that too.
Okay. But so it has AC Syndicate has good achievement tracking. However, I came across probably about 12 or 13 achievements in the game that I completed you know whatever I needed to do to earn that achievement, but the achievement stopped tracking at like 95, 98%. I could do it 100 more times and it doesn't hit the 100% and unlock the achievement, which is pretty annoying. For sort of fortunately, for some reason, a bunch of those achievements, so I beat the story and then I moved on to the DLC, the Jack the Ripper DLC. And a lot of those achievements, if you do whatever that you needed to for the achievement in the base game, then for some reason in the DLC, the achievement progress tracks. So I was able to unlock probably like 6 or 7 of those 12 or 13 glitched achievements. Unfortunately, the other half of those glitched achievements, what you need to do to complete them, you can't do in the DLC. You can only do it in the base game. So I'm going to have to start the game over again and go through those again to get those
Oh,
achievements,
it's
which is
not like
really
Brotherhood
annoying.
where you have a section where you can come back to.
Well, I mean, you can go back and replay segments, but it just won't increase the tracker.
Oof.
So, like the most annoying, most of them are like stuff you can just do, like wandering around the open world, which aren't too bad. But one of them is basically for progressing through a good chunk of the game, and the one I'm referring to specifically is there's one. So in AC Syndicate, if you haven't played it, you switch back and forth between brother and sister. His name is Jacob, and her name is Evie, and he's more of a brawler and she's more of the stealth character. And so there's an achievement for Jacob for unlocking all the combat skills, and then there's an achievement for Evie for unlocking all the stealth skills. But in order to unlock those, you have to get to like character level like 9 or something. The max is
Yeah.
10 in the game. And so the one for unlocking unlocking all the combat skills for Jacob worked fine, popped immediately. But the one for unlocking all the stealth skills for Evie did not pop. So there's no way I can redo that in the playthrough because you can't get rid
Yeah.
of your skills. So I have to play through it again and get enough points to be able to buy all those skills again. Fortunately, I can focus on just those skills. I don't have to spread out my points into the other skill trees, but it's annoying that I have to play through it again in order to get that one
I had something
particularly because I am
similar
going for the
to
completion.
I had something similar to Cyberpunk 2077 because the way I built my character naturally, I could get every achievement except for one in that one playthrough. Because once you
Okay.
get to a certain level, you don't level up anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that's it's kind of funny. Like,
And there's no respecking at the time whenever I played it.
oh, okay. I haven't played it yet, so
I'm pretty sure there's a bunch
uh,
of things that make it better now.
do you know if you can respec now after the 2.0
I
update or
haven't
whatever it
checked.
was?
I need to start. That's one of those that's one of those DLCs I need to start one of these days.
Okay. But yeah, kind of along those lines, it's like in Fallout 3, I think the level cap was 20, and then they added the DLC. It wasn't the first, I think it was the Broken Steel DLC, the third one, which increased the level cap. And then you could make super broken characters because you could have more than one level 20 perk.
Yep.
So that was a lot of fun. It's like, okay, now I can go super overpowered.
That's why in some of those games like that, I would wish that you could make they could have it as an option to make your character as broken as possible. Kind of like how
It's like
on
single player game. So
like look at Skyrim, you can prestige a skill,
I
and
loved it when they
I
added that
love
because that
that.
wasn't in the game by default.
Yeah, because then it's a choice on whether or not you want to make yourself overpowered or not.
Yeah. My goal before I kind of burned out on it was to hit level 100. And I got really close. I got to level 98. I could probably go back and do it, but as most RPGs, in order to hit the next level, it takes a substantial more amount of XP.
Oh,
So
for fun, I ended up going to level 250 just because.
250, jeez,
Let's just say I could break the game easily before I even got to that point because I used
well
to do like
before.
yeah. As soon as I get a house, I start breaking the equipment, the how much you can put you can carry.
So, but yeah, so I need to go back to it because I'm planning on getting the completion. I am planning on getting that. I'll talk more about that later when we get
Yes.
to what we're going
Sadly, the only
we're going
Assassin's Creeds
into.
I played is 1, 2, Brotherhood, and 3.
Okay. You didn't play Revelations.
I got the online achievements for Revelations before the servers shut down, and that's kind of the entire reason why I played Brotherhood and 3. Is because those servers were shutting down, and so I wanted to get all those online achievements.
Okay. Yep. I did that.
One of these
I
days, I need to
have.
go through Revelations.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I've got 100% completion in Assassin's Creed 1 through Unity, and I'm currently working on Syndicate, but I'm gonna go back to completing that because I started the DLC, the Jack the Ripper DLC, and I've played that only a little bit. I basically got through the intro, and then I went and completed a bunch of those glitched achievements because I needed to, because I'd heard that someone in the comments in one of the solutions for the achievements, because a lot of other people have run into these glitch achievements as well, and some people were saying
Yeah,
that once you get to the DLC you can do this achievement. So I was like, oh, let me try it. So I went and got all those achievements, but I haven't really progressed in the story of the Jack the Ripper DLC. But once I finish the Jack Ripper DLC, then I'll go back and do the base game to get the full completion.
that should be fun.
Yeah.
Well, at least whenever
So,
you do another playthrough, you don't have to go through as much. You don't. There's a lot of optional stuff you can skip.
yeah, exactly. I can just focus on beelining it straight to the objective that I'm trying to achieve.
Yep, that's what I did for Cyberpunk. So
So, yeah. What was that? Speaking of Cyberpunk, what was that one that
I
you
can't remember,
couldn't
but
do?
you needed to have a specific skill up to a certain level, and I wasn't really leveling that skill throughout my playthrough, and so but
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
didn't realize it until it was too late. Like I was at already max level by the time I realized I needed that.
Oh, and so you have to replay unless they've added respec, then you could probably get that achievement like that. I assume.
Nowadays, yeah, but I did that back when it was released. So
Right. Okay. So Jerry Crow says it should be the devs implementing every online achievement unlocked after the servers go down. Yeah, there should be definitely, especially for us achievement hunters. It sucks when servers go offline and you can't get those achievements anymore. There should either change the unlock conditions, like there was a game, very short-lived game that was basically online only. Although you can play it with bots, but all the achievements were for playing online with other people. And it went offline like not even a year after it came out. I think it was called Disintegration, and they changed the achievements so that you could get the achievements with bots after the servers went down. So that was definitely something I applaud them for. You don't necessarily need to change it that way, but when servers go offline, there's achievements tied. Well, first of all, I don't think there should ever be achievements tied to online uh any online gaming that requires dedicated servers, because those will go down at some point. That's my personal preference. But if you're going to, I think it should be the developer's job to change it either to something you can do offline or something automatically unlock the achievement for everybody who's played it. I don't know, but something as a gesture of goodwill towards your players.
that's actually
And
a
we also
perfect segue to the next game I'm going to talk about because this
okay,
one
and then
because I actually
I
started
just
this
want to
game.
say hi to Kay because Kay is
Yeah,
in there saying howdy. Glad you're here. So
yeah,
go ahead.
because whenever I started this game like last year because the servers were going to be shutting down, there were some online achievements Well, turns out that right before they shut down the servers, they make a change to the achievement so that they would still work without those matchmaking servers, and
Nice.
it would still do peer to peer
That's another
connections.
solution, is change it from
Um,
dedicated servers to peer-to-peer so people can still play even after the
for
servers go down.
some of those games, how about making the server code available to people who want to be able to host it themselves? Like,
Yeah, that would be
I
another
bet you
option.
True Achievements would not mind doing that type of thing
That'd be
if it
awesome.
was allowed. Because I mean, I know True Achievements hates it when people do private servers like that. But what if they were able to hold it themselves, and for you to be able to connect to those servers, you had to pay for True Achievements premium or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then because of them, because they would do it for achievements, maybe they have like 20 games that they could rotate like to every month,
Yeah,
so
that'd be a great idea.
they don't have to
Keep them all
keep them
active at
all
the
on.
same time.
Yeah.
Just put them on rotation. Be like, all
Yep.
right, this month is these servers that have
Yep.
been, shut down. We're hosting them this month.
But the game that
That'd be
changed their
awesome.
achievements was Jump Force.
Jump Force. Oh, okay.
Pretty much,
I other than I
pretty
know it's
much,
a fighting game,
yeah.
I
It's
don't
pretty
know
much your
anything
anime
else about
fighting
it.
game with Goku, Luffy, Naruto, even as Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, pretty much, and even Yu-Gi-Oh and they had Light
Kaiba,
Yagami
right?
from Death Note, but he was like a story character. You couldn't play as him.
Okay.
I think the reason why you play those games is because you're not the combat's not that great. I know Eric July. He apparently loves this type of combat because it's like Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. And I remember him saying that game's amazing. There need to be more games like that. And I'm like, yeah, there's tons of them there, and they're all the same, and they're not very good in my opinion. Like the
I'm
reason
not a
why you
fighting game person, so I'll have to take
it's
your
a
word for it.
3D arena. It's a 3D arena fighter. You have it's in a 3D space, but
Okay.
you're always locked onto your opponent. And the main thing is you going forward and back. You're only going left and right to dodge certain attacks. And of course, because of how the anime characters do their special moves, some of them are always going to be overpowered compared to others. Because like some characters, they only do melee type attacks. Like
Okay.
Rurouni Kenshin from uh, he's a sword fighter from Meiji Japan. He doesn't, and there's no superpowers in that series, so it's just him and a sword. So
Versus
there's
like
no
Goku.
yeah who can just keep on throwing kamehamehas at him.
Okay.
So
So how did they change the achievements?
I don't remember how they changed them, but they made it so you could unlock them through private matches, pretty much.
Okay.
And those would just be like, oh hey, I have a friend online. I can invite him to this game and we can play against each other.
Yeah.
I think there was like
It's
only one ranked achievement, but they pretty much changed that one directly.
okay. Because the whole like changing of achievements thing, it is quite a bit of a gray area. Because I'm not sure how closely you followed like the Zidalon games. Are you familiar with those?
Aren't those games that make really easy achievements?
Yeah, so the Zidalon games, I think that's the publisher's name. They started releasing it's basically gamer score for sale because they're like $5 games and you can get like all 1,000 gamer score in like a minute. And then they started adding um title updates because based on like Microsoft's like achievement policy, they can add like a title update every 6 months. So they
Yeah,
added another like 5 achievements for another 1,000 gamer score, like every 6 months up until the cap of like 5,000 gamer score for this, these $5 games. And you can the title updates did not add any new content. They just added new achievements for doing the stuff that you had already done. So if you'd already
okay.
achieved them, as soon as you booted up the game, then all the new achievements would unlock instantly. So you can legitimately get like these 5,000 gamer score games in like a minute or 2 minutes.
Gotcha.
Um, and some of their first ones when they started adding the title updates, in addition to their title updates, they actually changed the achievements in the base game or some of the previous title updates to even make them easier. Microsoft was like, no, 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 no. You can't go and change your achievements retroactively and force them to change it back so that you can't so that they could still add new title updates and make them super easy, but whatever the base game achievements were, they couldn't change them to make them even easier. They had to change them back to whatever they originally were. So
Yeah, I think you have to make good reasons why you have to change achievements now because I know Destiny 2 had to change a lot whenever they removed
okay.
a lot of that first year content.
Yeah, I talked about that with the Jobby Gamer when she was on for open mic on how they
Yeah,
actually removed content from the game, which is criminal.
exactly. Luckily, I actually got all the achievements for that game before that happened. I think
Oh, so,
the
oh,
only
that's
year
right.
I
We
ended,
talked about Dusty when you were on too.
the only year I ended up playing Destiny 2 on was um was the year that they went free and they brought back the moon
Okay, I
because
have not played Destiny 2, so I don't know
yeah,
much about it. I've only played a crap load of
I played
Destiny 1.
Destiny 1 year 1 a crap ton because I was like someone who would like collect all the raid guns. I would try to get every raid gun and I would
Yeah.
go through that wave based mode so that I could get that mode of light to upgrade that old raid gear up to the new light level.
Yeah, I still got
I tried to do that for every single raid piece. That's how I play games. Even if I'm not achievement hunting, I'm still trying to do that type of stuff.
yeah,
And then
the my
and
main
then when
set
the
of
Taken
armor in
King
Destiny
came
1
out,
is pretty old. I've upgraded it through,
and then
like,
when the
3
Taken King came out,
expansions.
they told me, "F you and everything you just did because we're just resetting everybody." And
In what
none of
regard?
that
I don't
gear
remember.
none of that gear would be upgradable to new light level, and it would all be worse than silver gear at once you start playing the new content.
Because
That's how the Taken King came out.
oh, the Taken King. I'm
Yeah,
thinking of Wrath of the Machine. You're right. Okay. Yes, I'm getting my expansions mixed up. Yeah, they capped everything at, like, 160, and all the new stuff started at, like, 200 or something,
yeah.
or 180.
And so
So, yeah. For
because someone like me went through all that effort to make that gear good, and then they did that, I was like, I'm out.
Okay, because almost everything that they capped, you could reacquire, and then you could upgrade those to the max light level. So
It was
that's what I was
still
saying is,
it was still just the idea. It's just like I'm out. I just
yeah,
didn't want to deal with it because it was just I wasn't even finished with all the raid gear because I was still trying to get full raid sets for the each of the classes.
okay, yeah. The RNG can be a real pain. So
Yeah,
I totally get where you're coming from. And we had Horny Elf hop in the chat. Hello, Horny Elf. Glad you're here to hear us talk about achievements. So,
but
anything else you wanted to say about Jump Force?
Jump Force that also is one of those games that has like the progress counter. So like
Okay.
whenever because I think the hardest achievement was getting S rank on the hardest
Oh,
mission on like 10 very hard missions. I mean,
S ranks are
if you know
evil.
if you know what you're doing, it's actually not too bad. But what's weird is that the easiest way to get S ranks, you actually want to get hit because
Hmm.
you have to use your ultimate attack to actually finish off someone in a round, and that gives you like a bonus score. But the only way to get your ultimate attack in that game is to raise a bar by getting hit.
Interesting. That's
So
definitely seems counter to getting S ranks.
yeah, I mean to be honest, you could also get S rank by getting 2 perfects, but
That's much more difficult, I assume.
unless you know how to cheat that game, there is a way you could use Vegeta and Kamehameha, and you just
Like
constantly throw
stun lock
projectiles
them.
at. Yeah, well, especially if it's certain enemies, like any character from JoJo, because like if they don't have
I
any
know
range
nothing
attacks,
about that anime.
if they have no range attacks, there's nothing they can do about it except for try
Oh.
and rush into. But have you ever watched Dragon Ball?
The only Dragon Ball I've ever watched is I've watched a good portion of DBZ abridged. I've never seen the
Uh,
actual anime.
so you know how Frieza ends up losing his fight to Goku.
At some point, yeah.
He uses those razor sharp energy discs and it ends up hitting himself.
Okay. It was
Well,
10 plus years ago that I watched
one
DBZ abridged, so I don't remember. I remember some bits and pieces here and there, but
yeah,
not a whole lot.
let's just say one Easter egg in that game is that he can use those discs in the game, and if
Okay.
him or any of his teammates run into them, not just you, or or his opponent, they will take damage from him.
So is it essentially there's friendly fire then?
I think only for certain moves like that one because that one
Okay.
was like it was in the series he ended up defeating himself with it.
Okay. Is so given that sounds like there's somewhat quote friendly fire, is it like you choose a team of like 3 fighters then?
Yeah, but only one person is on the field usually at one time, except
Okay.
for certain team attacks.
So that's kind of like
And everyone shares the same health pool and
MVC, right?
the same special bar. So
Oh, okay.
it's not really like Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, because they all have their own bars, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's up, Paul Hadouken hopping in, and Angry Canadians here as well. Hello, thanks for joining us. So, Dude was just telling us about his adventures in Jump Force over the last month. And then I will go into the next thing. So I was kind of all over the place in October for the most part because I take part of a community event put on by not TA, but it's basically run through TA by a fan. His gamer tag is Iron Fist of Snuff. He runs the Better Completions Matter Challenge, and this is year 5 he's done it. And he's kind of burnt out on it, so someone's kind of taking the torch and running it on their own and making some changes to it for next year. But there's a bunch to it. But one of the things is you get assigned a random game from your list each month to try to complete, and you get a huge bonus at the end of the year if you complete your bonus your random game every month in the year, which I failed on like January. So
could you imagine if you had Final Fantasy 11 on that?
There are some rules, so games can since you only have a month to do it, there's a cap of like 80 or 100 hours. So games that are longer than that can't get picked. But
by the way, I partially joked Final Fantasy 11 because you can't play that game on 360 anymore.
Oh, really?
They disconnected the servers for PS2 and 360 for Final Fantasy 11.
So does that mean all the achievements are discontinued?
Yep.
Oh, that's just like we were talking about when they shut down servers. That's the worst. Named Black Belt here. Hello, good afternoon. Oh, that's right. Sorry, Pimp Black Belt. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so in addition, so that's one of the aspects of it is you get assigned a random game every month, and then every month has a special bonus. October is actually, you know what? I'm going into BCM. Well. Because the bonus in October is actually you got pitted up against one other person. You're trying to outdo that one other person, which is actually a opt-in bonus, whereas all the other bonuses, except for one other month, are you're in by default. But October is a opt-in because early on, he'd do all this work to match people up, and only one person would participate. So in order to try to avoid that, he made it opt-in. But I opted out because I didn't have enough games in my pool to pick from. But shout out to him and all the amazing work he's done with Better Completions Matter. I went totally down the wrong tangent because that
started on the game.
That had nothing to do with why I was jumping around because I did participate in completing my random game, which I'm not going to talk about yet. That's going to be the next one I talk about. But the main reason why I jumped around to a bunch of games is actually the True Achievement community event they did called Trick or Treat, which they've never done. As far as I know, they've never done this event before, and it was an interesting one. So when you sign up, you get a button, you pick a trick or a treat, and I forget which one is which, but I want to say a trick. When you hit trick, it pulls a random list of 10 of your locked achievements, and you have to get one of those achievements, and then you can then pick a trick or treat again. And the other one, treat, I think when you pick that one, it then gives you like you need to get 100 gamer score in, games that meet this criteria, or 200 gamer score, or it was more of like you have to get achievements or a gamer score value in something that in a game that meets whatever the criteria was. And in order to get the participation badge, you had to complete 13 trick or treats, and you had to do at least 5 in each category. So at least 5 tricks and 5 treats, and the other 3 you could do either. I didn't look at the leaderboard at the very end, but when I looked at the leaderboard like a couple days before it ended, I think the person first place had done like 1,300 of them. It was nuts. But anyways, due to that, I was jumping all over the place through the second half of October. And so I was playing. I played a bunch of different games and got like one achievement here and one achievement there from all these different games. And one of the achievements that I needed to get was for which one was it? Trying. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, so like I was saying, the okay, so it was treat was the one where you got a list of 10 achievements to pick from. A trick was when you had to get like 100 gamer score in a game that meets the criteria. And
Gotcha.
so for this one, my trick was to get 100 gamer score in games that were on sale in the year of 2023. So I was looking through my achievements that were valid for it, and I found one that was 125 gamer score. I'm like, that shouldn't be too difficult. And I picked the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed achievement from Trials Fusion. So I'm a big fan of the Trials franchise. Are you familiar with the Trials games?
Those are those ones where you're on the bike and you do tricks and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's a racing game, but it's not so much about racing. It's more about your technical proficiency and getting through the levels without making faults, but you do want to do it as quick as possible.
It's like that silly
And
running game on that you use the keyboard on.
like QWOP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like QWOP, but on a dirt bike, and it's not as difficult as QWOP, but in that it's pretty easy to control your dirt bike. But when you're doing some of the extreme levels, you have to be like pixel perfect in order to make it through them. They are very difficult. But I'm not godlike at them, but I'm very good at the Trials game, so I really enjoy them. And so that achievement for Bright Eyed and Bushy Tail was for getting the 8 hidden squirrels. It's basically a collectible. You have to do something funny or weird. There's a lot of humor in the game too.
Yeah.
And you had to go in the 8 original levels, or in the first 8 levels that had them. And sometimes it's just like, instead of at the start of the level, going forward like you would, it's basically pulling a Mario. You have to hold your brake to back up to the back of the screen, and there you found the squirrel. But a lot of them are more complicated. You have to do this level like this certain way, and you need to fall here and get your body to fall in this hole, which will then launch you into space, and then you'll find the squirrel on the moon. Just ridiculous stuff like that.
How do you find that?
I would never be able to find them myself. I went to the achievement guide, and there was a video like, here's where you go to get them all. But some of them, even if you know where they are, they're still kind of difficult to get.
Yep.
So it took me like a day or two to get all of those ones, but I was able to get that one. And it has a good ratio, a 5.06 ratio, and 125 gamer score. So it was worth 632 TA. So that was a fun one to get that I hadn't completed yet. Because, not completed, because I don't think I'll ever complete Trials Fusion, because getting all the achievements is incredibly difficult. I'm not that good. Same with the previous one in the franchise, which was Trials of Evolution. I've got most of the achievements, but I will never get 100% in that one. But a couple years ago, my random game for BCM that I was talking about earlier was for completing the original Trials HD. And so I had left one achievement left in that game for years.
Oof.
Because I was like, I don't think I'll ever get that one, because you have to get through this like 40 level tournament without any faults. And
Oof.
even when you're going through pretty easy levels, going through that many levels and not faulting is still really difficult. So
It's like the Rock Band 2 achievement for the Iron Bladder or whatever it was.
The Bladder of Steel.
Yeah.
So I did at that point. I want to say it was in 2020. I like, I'm getting that achievement and completing the game, and after like a couple weeks, I finally got it. That was a really I was so amped because of how many times I'd fail like on like track 39 out of 40. It's like, no. But I did finally get that one, and I did complete the original Trials HD, but I don't think I'll ever complete 100% any of the other Trials games.
At least you got one.
Yep. So, what do you got next?
You know what? I think I'll go through 4 games, since these are the ones that are really fast. I think I told you about this because of another game that I'll talk about later. Because of how much of a bastard it was, I wanted to do some quick, easy games.
Yeah, I need a palate cleanser.
Yeah,
I definitely need that
so
this month.
I ended up doing 4 games in the next 48 hours.
Okay.
So, of course, backyard football. All you had to do with this one
Not
is
familiar with
get
that one.
it's just a basic football game, but it's like the players look like kids.
Okay.
So that's kind of the whole premise of the backyard sports games. Um, the only achievements they had like 10 achievements. It was like get like 200 rushing yards, get three rushing touchdowns, three passing touchdowns, three receiving touchdowns, and all with the same player and stuff like that. And it's just all things I ended up doing. And with I ended up making it a 15-minute quarter. Ended up doing it all within the first quarter.
You gotta get all the achievements in the first quarter of the game.
Yep. And whenever all the achievements were related to do it all in a game. So,
Nice.
like I said, I just wanted some palate cleansers. And this one
Yep.
is actually kind of cathartic because it is EA Sports and how much they
Really?
screw over their players. It's Fight
Yeah, I
Night
went.
3, round 3.
Oh,
The reason
I
why
have
it's
played that.
cathartic, the reason why it's cathartic
I
is
think I
because
know where you're going with this.
the easiest way you can finish this game is by kicking your opponent in the balls.
Yes. I did not know about that. I got probably like the second to last fight in the game because um that was one of I think that might have been my very first completion on Xbox. It was Fight Night round 3. But one I think when I used my created character to play through the game, and yep, Fight Night round 3 was my very first completion in May of 2006.
Gotcha.
Um but I think the character I built was in the welterweight class,
Mm,
and once you basically complete the welterweight class, you then fight the champion of like the other weight
mm,
belts that are above you. So I ended up going up against like super heavyweight, and they're like it's 50% more, they're like 50% heavier than me because they just got so
yeah.
much more muscle and they're such a bigger person. I was like, how the heck are you ever supposed to beat this to get whatever the achievement was? And then I found out you can turn on, there's an option in the settings. It's like cheap shots. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll turn that on and just hit them in the nuts. And then you automatically win. That was
Yep.
great. But I
It's
only
just
did that for like the last 2 fights because they were literally
I did it
impossible.
throughout the entire game because I just wanted something easy. But it's just cathartic that in EA Sports game, you can complete the entire game by kicking your opponent in the nuts because that's pretty much what the company does to its consumer base.
Yes, I went on. I think it was on open mic last night. Talked a little bit about EA
Yeah,
Sports and their death grip on sports games and
yeah,
how there's no competition. They can be super lazy about it because no one else can make them.
yep. Well, they're not just lazy; they're greedy with it.
That too.
Lazy would be one thing; it's also the greed.
Yeah,
But
lazy and greedy. Not a good combination for making good games.
nope. So the next two games are actually based on movies, and I actually enjoyed these for what they were. Um, this one's based on the second Night at the Museum movie,
Okay, I've
and
seen the first Night of Museum movie. I don't think I've seen the others.
the second one's, from what I remember, it was a lot of fun. It's pretty much a typical kids game. There's not much combat. You're mainly just walking around, collecting the little baubles, and then trying to get to the end of the level. Um, it pretty much turns the tablet that brings everything to life at night. The tablet gives you powers whenever it's in your bag, and
Okay,
like it turns this keychain into a whip that you can use to pull things down or pull himself to, and or you can befriend animals, which is used and all of these powers are used in specific levels. And it was a really fun game for what it was. It just the achievements were really easy because it's mostly just play through the game, collect all the collectibles,
don't
and
have
it's
to really
also
go
one of
much
the
out of your way.
yeah, and it's also one of those games where if you die, you don't really lose much progress. So, and and I think the hardest collectible was one I just missed because I didn't realize would be where a rocket was going on and off. So
So, did you I'm assuming it had, like, chapter select so you could go back to get
yeah,
the one that you
there's only
missed?
like 9 levels, so and each level takes you about 15, 20 minutes.
So they're not terribly long.
It's a fun little game based on a movie, and it was enjoyable. It's
Okay.
if you're looking for something that's simple like that, it's a fun game, especially if you have kids that like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it even has the original actors most of the original actors from the movies,
for the
and
voices.
as at least as the voices. I don't think they were. That was before they started doing all the mocaps because the main character doesn't really look like Ben Stiller
Okay.
as much, but
Yeah,
you could definitely tell it was his voice.
that's definitely a bonus for back in the day when they had those movie tie-in games,
Yep.
and they actually had the actual actors' voices in it, and not some knockoff impersonator who's not doesn't do a great job of sounding like them.
Yep. And then that's about it for that one because that one's. I mean, it did have like 40 achievements, but it was like they were all pretty well spaced out. This one didn't have as many, but and I never even watched the movie, but it's Jumper.
Oh, I've seen the movie and I did complete that game way back in the day, and I
It was
thought for a movie game it wasn't that bad.
yeah. What I mean, I think it probably could have taken. I would probably liked one more level, but
I
what's
like the movie
crazy?
too.
Yeah, what's crazy is that I actually ended up getting the achievement for beating the game without dying and the speedrun achievement in the first playthrough.
Oh, without even trying, nice.
Yeah, and I even got all the collectibles too on the first run. So the only thing I had to do on the subsequent runs is literally get enough enough points to actually get the 20,000, whatever it was.
Nope. Yeah,
So
I got the completion in that in March of
yeah,
2009. So that was one of my
actually,
earlier completions.
the combat was interesting because what the combat's completely different than any other game that I've played. Because anytime you're locked onto a specific enemy, it has a circle underneath them,
Right.
and
I
you
do remember that.
you press the face buttons like the X, Y, A, and B.
To attack from those
You attack from
directions.
that direction
Yeah, since you can
based on
teleport.
where he is from the camera, and then as the game goes on, it eventually gets to a point where the enemy actually has points on that circle that are red, and if you attack them on the red spot, they'll counter you
Yeah.
because they're expecting you to go there. But as you're hitting them, they'll have they'll have a space turn green. It's like you hit that for extra oomph. So it was
Yeah.
actually a really interesting. It was a really fun game for what it was. I think I only ended up dying once during the last level, so I ended up just restarting from that before I could save,
Yeah,
so I could get that achievement.
definitely one of those movie games that is not a like that meets the what's
It's a good
the word I'm
$10
looking
game.
for? Yeah, the reputation, I guess,
Yeah,
because most movie games have a reputation of being terrible. It was not. I wouldn't put it in the terrible
and I would
category.
actually put both of these games in that category because they're both
In the
fun.
decent. Yeah.
They're not
Cool.
X-Men Origins Wolverine level, but
I was just gonna say that's like the top of the video game or the movie video games, 'cause that game was awesome.
it was, and I'm glad I have that game completed.
Yeah,
I'm
I
actually
would like
kind
to
of
play through
disappointed I
that one
didn't have
again.
PlayStation trophies because I could have done it twice.
Oh, oh, that must is it because that one came out on PlayStation before
I
PlayStation
think
had
so, yeah.
trophies? Okay, because yeah, I would like to play through that game again just for the heck of it. I'd have to find a copy of it, but I don't think that'd be very difficult.
Yeah,
So, was did I miss? Because I think you said four. Do you have one more, or did I
that was
miscount?
4. That
Okay,
was 4 because the football game, Fight
football.
Night, and then the 2
Fight Night,
movie
that's
games.
right, and 2 games. Okay, well, cool. Yeah, I, needed a little bit of a, palate cleanser after my October, because I was having to play all these different games that's like, I don't really wanna play these games, but I need to, I really wanna get that badge for completing the Trick or
That's
Treat
part of why I
challenge.
don't play those events as often because I'd be forced to do games I'm not thinking about playing.
Yeah, um, so, um my palate cleanser, I was playing a little bit on stream last night between guests. I'll probably be finishing it off tonight. It was Subnautica because I'm about this close to finishing that playthrough. I just need to finish building the very last part of the rocket. So that'll be finishing off my palate cleanser before I really get into what I'm going to be playing first off in November, which I will talk about later. But the main game that I was working on through most of October was for BCM. It was the game that I had randomly assigned as my random game of the month. And that is one of my, I mentioned it last night, one of my favorite games of the last few years was Doom Eternal. So I had played through Doom Eternal and gotten all of the achievements in the base game except for one before the DLCs came out. And
Was it based
then
on the battle mode that you're
no,
missing?
I actually had all the battle mode achievements. I'd have to go back and look in when I got them, but I had those a couple years ago. I was able to get into a group and we kind of all grinded those achievements
Yeah,
out
I
together.
grinded after I realized I just was not vibing with that multiplayer mode like I was 2016's.
I
I enjoyed 2016's for what it was, and I actually got
I
those
had a
legit.
lot of fun with Doom 2016's multiplayer mode, even though it got a lot of crap. I did enjoy it, but I did also do because in order to get the completion in Doom 2016, you have to get to level 50 or something in the multiplayer to unlock some of
Well, you had the
the
prestige
armor
a few
pieces.
times at that point.
Yeah, it was some. You have to level up a bunch in order to get high enough to skill or level. You basically need certain armor pieces, and you need to wear them and get kills with certain meeting certain conditions to get some of these
Yeah,
achievements. In order to buy those, you have to get to the level that it requires you to have in
it
order to
used to be
purchase
that they were
them.
in DLC and you had to buy the DLC, but
That's
then they
right.
did a then they did a
They made it all
an
free.
update and they made it all free and they just had to unlock them.
Yeah, I don't think I even played Doom 2016 until after that had happened.
Same.
Um, but yeah, I did have a lot of fun with Doom 2016's multiplayer. Not so much with Doom Eternals. I only actually played it like legitimately not long after launch, and it still needed some balancing because I forget whether it was the Doomslayer or the demons. One of them was overpowered. I think it was the demons because I think if you were playing as the Slayer, it was very difficult to win, even if the people who are playing the demons that you're fighting weren't
Yeah.
that good. It was still pretty easy for them to beat you. I'm pretty sure it was that.
Even after all the patches, I still preferred playing as the Caco Demon whenever I was at Demon side
I
because
think the
I'd be able to
Revenant was my favorite.
look at. I think I liked the Caco Demon because I could go high up and bombard the
The
Doomslayer.
Slayer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had completed the multiplayer achievements in Doom Eternal a while ago. The only achievement I didn't have from the base game by the time the DLC came out was there was one. I'll get to that in just a second. And then the first DLC came out, and there was, and I got all the achievements except for one that it's basically the same achievement as the base game, and then same with
Oh, it's the extra life mode, isn't it?
yes, and same with the second DLC, Ancient Gods Part 2. I got all the achievements except for one. So for 3 or 4 years now, I've had 3 achievements left, and it's for completing the base game in extra life mode, and completing the Ancient Gods Part 1 in extra life mode, and completing Ancient Gods Part 2 in extra life mode. So I basically had to play through the entirety of the game again in extra life mode to get those 3 achievements. I just had been putting it off. So I went through the game again. Not that I had any problem with it because I freaking love the game. And I hadn't played it
Except
through
for
it
those
in a
marauders.
while. The fighting one marauder by itself is not that difficult once you get used to it. But in the DLC, it's annoying because there are parts where you fight like 2 of them at a time, plus a bunch
And
of
then
other
technically
demons.
the final boss of the part 2 is technically a marauder.
Sort of. Well, it's basically evil you
But
in a giant mech suit.
you always have to wait for him to do his attack like
Oh,
he does in
yes, you have
the
to wait
marauder.
for him to
So
do his
it's literally
eyes
just
flash green. Otherwise, he'll regain health if you do damage to him.
yep. It's
Which
literally
was
just marauder
yes. Okay,
boss
that's what
fight.
you meant. I thought you meant like lore wise, he was a marauder. No,
No,
he fights very much like the
gameplay
marauder
wise.
does. Yes,
And
gameplay wise, very
that ticked
much.
me off because it's like I actually preferred the boss from the first expansion because it actually felt unique and it felt like
Yeah,
it
the
was
Seraphim boss fight.
and it definitely felt like it actually leaned into the Doom Eternal's strengths. More anything dealing with a marauder, in my opinion, is going with Doom Eternal's weaknesses.
Yeah, well, um, I know James agrees with you because we talked about Doom Eternal, and that was one of his biggest complaints is the Marauder and how the whole point of Doom is just shooting everything until it dies, but the Marauder completely throws that out the window.
It
So I
completely breaks
totally
the dance you
understand.
have with everything else.
Yeah, totally understandable. So I went through and Doom Eternal and got those last 3 achievements. So I now have the completion in Doom Eternal. As well as Doom 2016. I don't have the completions in the old Doom games like Doom and Doom 2. I would like to get them, but some of the last couple achievements on them are very difficult, like for beating Nightmare Mode.
Those are
And like
only on the Xbox One versions. On the
that's
360
right.
versions, they are not
They're
there.
easier on the 360 version. I haven't
And
played those versions.
I wouldn't mind those multiplayer achievements on Doom 1 and Doom 2 if the co-op was online.
Oh, is the co-op not online?
Nope, you
It's
can only
couch
do
co-op
couch
only?
co-op.
Oh, I did not know that. I I figured at some point I could go back to it and find someone who's really good at the game and have them carry me through
What's
it, but
funny
I guess
though
that's
is
not
that
gonna happen.
I think on Doom 1, I ended up getting a friend to help me with it because you remember Mixer?
Yep.
You could remember how on Mixer you could actually have
Oh, you
someone
can
take
invite
control of.
people to play with you.
No, you could have someone take control of your controller. Well,
Right.
that wouldn't
He has
do
really
anything about
good
the
to it
second
for
player.
you.
So he'd be first player and I'd be second player. That type of thing. It was
Interesting.
still laggy, but it was still better than just having the second player sit at the entrance.
Yeah. Interesting. That's cool thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
But
Well, we don't have Mixer anymore, so
yeah.
and I still need to
So
do Doom 2, and you can't skip. You have to do 30 levels, not just 8.
oh my goodness. Yeah, so I probably will never get the completion in those ones. But I do still need to go back because there are a few more achievements that I know I can get. I just haven't gone back to them yet.
Have you completed Doom
But
3?
I've not even played through Doom 3 yet. I've played like the first couple of hours.
I've done that 3 times on Xbox 360, PS3, and Xbox One.
So are you a big fan of Doom 3 then?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not big on the scary stuff, so it's the one I'm least looking forward to playing. But I played through a couple of hours of Doom 3, but I have not played through it in its entirety yet.
Just to be wary, the biggest problem for an achievement hunter is the PDAs. Some of them are
ho-
missable.
oh, okay. When I go back to and actually focus on playing it, I'll probably start it from the beginning again because it's been 3-4
It's
years
like the
since I actually
BioShock audio
played it.
logs, pretty much.
Oh, I got a whole story about that.
What's funny is James actually did something right during his playthrough on that roulette night, because the only way you can get one of the PDAs is by killing one of those first guys you see when they finally get a gun.
Oh, okay. Um, but yeah, so I like Doom Eternal a lot. I freaking love the game. It's one of my favorite recent ones. Especially, it's definitely one of my favorite shooters of like the last decade. However, I'm not terribly good at it. So when I was playing it on regular mode, not extra life mode, I was playing it on whatever the normal difficulties because they're not called easy, normal, hard. They're like funny names.
Yeah, I know. Like normal is, I think the middle one is Hurt Me Plenty or something like that.
Yeah, there's like I think the easiest difficulty is called I'm Too Young to Die, and then there's Hurt Me Plenty, and then I forget what they're all called. But
I know the
when I
last
was
one's
playing,
Nightmare.
yeah, there's Nightmare, and then there's Ultra Nightmare, which the difficulty is not any different. It's just Ultra Nightmare is permadeath, so if you die at any point, you have to start the whole game over again.
Yep,
Um,
it's pretty much
but
like it's Super Iron Skull from Halo.
yes, it's super Iron Skull because instead of restarting the level, you restart the game. Um, yeah, so when I'm playing on just regular mode, I'll play on the whatever the normal difficulty is. But when I was playing through extra life mode, I'm like, I'm not risking this, so I'm playing it on easy. So, um, I, so I burned through the game pretty easily. I think I died twice on extra life mode. And the requirement for the achievement is complete the game with 10 or more lives in your inventory. And I think even with dying twice, I ended with like 52 lives in my inventory. So
Can't remember
I
how many
probably
lives I had.
I probably could have done it in normal mode, but I didn't want to risk it. I think I died pretty early in level 2. I was actually streaming it on one of my gaming test streams, and I died just because I got like overwhelmed by a bunch of Mancubus, and I didn't have very many upgrades yet. And I'm playing because normally I play on my pro controller, so I've got the paddles, and that's one of the pristine games to play with paddles, so you can
Yeah,
do all of your face buttons without having to take your fingers off the joysticks. Makes a huge difference. But I didn't
exactly.
have that controller when I was playing it here at my computer, so I was using my regular controller, and I didn't have the paddles. And I'm like, and it had been kind of a long time since I played it, so I'm like freaking out, and I died. And then I died once during the Icon of Sin battle because you just get swarmed by so many freaking
Yeah,
enemies in that fight. And then in the 2 DLCs, Ancient Gods Part 1 and 2, you have to beat extra life mode with 5 or more lives in your inventory because they're only 3
it's
levels
harder on the
each.
first DLC than the second DLC.
Yeah, the first DLC is nuts when it comes to difficulty. I remember the first time I played it, right when it came out, I'm like, This is almost the opening of the first level of the DLC. It was like harder than the icon, almost harder than the Icon of Sin fight because there's just like throwing so many enemies at you. I think they felt like because the levels were shorter, they had to overcompensate by adding so many more enemies to make it
I
take
think it's
longer.
because some people were saying that the main game was too easy, so they were like, "Okay, we'll make it super hard."
It's like just because some
And then they
super nutso people who are godlike at the game say it's easy doesn't mean you need to turn up the
and then
difficulty
they
for
overcorrected
everybody.
for DLC too.
Yeah, the second DLC was not as difficult as the first one. Um, but because they are only 3 levels each, instead of it being 10 lives in your inventory, you have to beat it with 5 levels. And the base game and the DLCs, you start with 3. So you basically at least have to find a few of the
Yeah.
lives hidden around. I don't think I died in. I think I died once in the Ancient Gods Part 1. I don't think I died at all in Ancient Gods Part 2. And I ended both of those with either like 12 or 13 lives in my inventory. So um, it wasn't terribly difficult, but they do have a decent ratio just because I
Not
think
not
kind
not
of like
everyone picks up the
me,
DLC.
not a lot of people went back and played it and got those achievements as well. So they're pretty decent ratios without being terribly difficult, but you do have to basically play through the entirety of the game again, which I know some people are, especially if you're not a big fan of the game, they probably wouldn't want to play through it again.
Yeah.
So that was basically wrapped up my October. But I did play a couple other games. So if you want to go get into something, I'll talk after that.
Well,
I'll
let's
talk
go
about
from
some of the easy games.
one recent first person shooter to another first person shooter. I
All
went
right.
and did some Halo Infinite achievements because
Oh, okay.
I finished the base game back when it first launched, but I never actually went back and got the new achievements that they added whenever they added co-op. I still didn't get the online co-op achievements, the campaign co-op
Okay.
achievements, but I did go back and actually get all like the do this specific thing in this level. Like one
Okay.
of them I ended up not being able to do in the first try, and I ended up having to do it in the second try. You had to beat in level in 15 minutes, and you could still do this on the easy. But let's just say I took my time a little too much, and barely didn't get it, so I had to restart the level.
Okay. So I have not played Halo Infinite yet. So when I get to it, we can definitely do that co-op if you want to do.
I mean, I'm trying to get Paul to play co-op with Halo, and I did tell them that this. I want to do that with them, go through the entire series, and then we can get to Halo Infinite and we can start doing those achievements. And I've told him that, and I'm like, I'm fine with going through all of them and getting to that point. But
Yeah.
I think,
Oh, yeah.
and
I
thing is,
played
though,
all.
Neo,
I've got 100% completion in all of the other Halos, all the other mainline games, not
yeah,
Halo Wars because I don't do RTSs, but
or
I've got
MCC,
100%. Yeah, MCC is a collection of all of them, so I will never get the 100% in Master Chief Collection,
yeah.
but
Well,
all of the
you're talking
original
with someone who
games.
does, so
Yes, that's right. I forgot you have the completion
yeah.
MCC, which is nuts. Because I'll never do the lassos, the lassos, that's for sure. But if you
They are
go
not
through
as
the
bad
whole
as you think
thing,
they are. At least a couple of them are.
I mean
Unless you're
the
thinking of
Halo
Halo
2
2.
lasso
Unless you're
will
thinking of Halo
that
2, that
alone
one is
will
bad.
keep me from getting that achievement.
Yeah,
But
but
if you go through it, once you get to the 4-player stuff, I definitely join
yeah,
you for that. That'd be fun.
definitely. I wouldn't mind. I would love to do 4-player with the games that are available for it. I think Infinite is also one of them as well. So, and I
Yeah, I
think one
think
of the
the
achievements you need more
after
than 2
2,
people.
I think after Halo 2, you can do all of them in 4-player co-op.
I think 4 doesn't have 4-player co-op. I think it only has 2.
Really? Hmm.
I haven't checked in a while, but I mainly play that solo anyways.
Yeah, I don't think I played 4 in co-op. But
And you know what's crazy about the lasso? I actually did beat one of the levels in Halo 3 on the original game on lasso. It was the first level with the flood.
okay, on Halo 3. Okay.
Yeah.
That level was tough.
Actually, I think it's one of the easiest levels, to be honest.
Wait, maybe which one are you? I'm thinking of the one where you're.
Not Cortana, the one that
Okay,
they
that's the
come
one
on
I'm
Earth.
thinking of.
The one they come
Then
on Earth.
the one they come to Earth on.
Yeah, it's
Um,
right after the level where the prophet goes and opens the portal.
I'll remember it as soon as I see it. It's just
Yeah.
been a long time since I played Halo 3.
It's actually the one I tend to use for weekly challenges whenever I play that game.
Is
Play
that
the
the one where you
MCC.
start out in like a caravan of warthogs?
No, that's the previous level.
The previous level. Okay.
So the
Because
next
that's the
level is
level
the
you end by fighting the scarabs, right?
Well, there is a scarab fight, and it's not the end.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's in the middle then.
Yeah,
I'm getting my levels
you
mixed
are
up.
correct though. It is one of the scarab levels.
So, oh yeah, I'm looking at. Oh, so looking at the Halo. Oh wait, which one? Oh, Halo 4. Yeah. So let me see here.
Oh, you're looking to see how many
The
people you can play that?
yeah, the 4-player achievements are the matchmaking ones. Not it doesn't say anything about co-op. Although, basically all the story ones can be done in co-op, but it doesn't say how many there are. So
I remember it being 2-player co-op for some reason.
I'd have to Google it because right now I'm just looking at the achievements and the achievement
Yeah,
flags. So
like I said, it's been a while since I've even tried to play that game in co-op. So the Halo 4 definitely feels like the best solo, and it's because of the story actually feels better as a solo player.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm actually someone who actually defends Halo 4 story, but it's
I don't think it deserves the hate that it got. I didn't think
no,
Halo 4 was bad at all. It just wasn't as good as Halo 3, in my opinion.
yeah. And for me, for me, Halo 4 was setting something up that Halo 5 just said, yeah, f that, we're doing something else.
Yeah, Halo 5 was
It's
the last
like
Jedi of
it
Halo.
almost felt as bad as what happened with Star Wars when Disney bought it.
Yeah.
But at least with Halo, it didn't completely derail the series to the point it was broken, because at least Chief was still Chief.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Jerry Crow is saying that this guy's like the Steve Vai of gaming, so like easy for him and take me a year. That's funny. So, okay. Anything else about Halo Infinite?
Nothing really, because most of those achievements are just like doing some small things in
Okay.
those levels. It's just that some of them you just end up having to do at the end. You have to go through the entire level to actually do it.
Okay. So the couple of the little easier, shorter games that I played in October were Panic Plays because they were leaving Game Pass. So in the middle of October, because for those of you who aren't familiar, when a game is leaving Game Pass, they let you know, and you have about 2 weeks to complete it. They usually do an announcement right at the beginning of the month, and you have until like the 15th to complete the game if you're a completionist before it leaves Game Pass, and then like a day or two later, they'll let you know what the next batch of leaving games is. You have until the end of the month. So I have a lot of games in my backlog that because I'm trying to get my completion percentage up, I don't start those games until I've got my completion up. But a lot of those games are in Game Pass, so if they leave, then I'll play them rather than wait. And so couple of those games were Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, because that was a short little game and
The most base crime.
left in the middle of October. And yeah, so it's basically like a humorous Zelda like old school Zelda. It's like a top down or isometric, and you go around completing quests and getting little upgrades and stuff. And so it was a cute game. It was a pretty short completion, probably like 5 or 6 hours. And it was pretty humorous. So I completed that one. And then the other one, which was leaving at the end of the month, was Kill It With Fire. Do you know anything about that one?
I don't know anything about it, but I hope it has spiders in it.
It is a spider killing game. Yes. So it's very comical. You start out with just a clipboard and you have to squash spiders. And as you complete the objectives, because your little clipboard has objectives on it for each level, and you get and you go through the levels and you find different weapons, and then you can go back to other levels and you can use those weapons. So you get like flamethrowers and rocket launchers and miniguns and all sorts of. You get C4. And so you just go through these different little small levels and you have to complete all the objectives. And then once you complete all the objectives in the level, you unlock the arachno something challenge. And each level, the challenge is different. It's like kill this many type of spiders in under 60 seconds, or kill this many spiders with this specific weapon in under 30 seconds, stuff like that. And you have to do all of those in order to complete the true final ending and get all the achievements. But it was probably like a 6 to 8 hour completion, so not terribly long. But it's just goofy, killing spiders in different places: the barn,
like
the
fun.
office, your house, the basement, the garage, a Japanese garden. So it was goofy, and it was a fun little short completion. So that was pretty much everything I played in October. No, there's one more. But it's almost not worth mentioning because I didn't actually play the game because I had zero interest in playing it, but it was leaving Game Pass and it had console commands. So I used the console commands to skip through the game and get the completion in Signalis, which I know almost nothing about it. And it was even the little bit I played, I'm like, this is creepy. I would definitely not play this of my own accord.
And here's the thing, I can't remember who it was, but someone actually gave $20 to Paul a couple
I was
nights
going to say, I
ago.
know Paul mentioned it
Yeah,
the other day that he's
Paul
going to be
Paul
playing
got
it.
paid $20 to play that on stream.
So did he already do that? Or is
I
he?
don't know. I don't. He hasn't played it yet, but since he
Okay.
was
I was going
given
to
$20,
say,
he actually has the money to be able to buy it. So
because yeah, I saw a tweet or something about Signalis. I'm like, I'm going to play it too. Not really. So
I
that
think
was
if I
like
ever
an hour completion with the console
usually
commands.
I'll use console commands on a second platform. Like if I've played through a game on Xbox and then I decide to play it on Steam. I've done this with Elder Scrolls 5.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't mind doing console commands on the second time I play through it. But I try to keep it as clean as possible the first time.
Yeah. If it's, I will try not to use them if it's a game I'm actually interested in. But if it's a game that's leaving Game Pass and it's a quick completion, but I have no interest in actually playing it, then I'll use the console commands and get that completion before it leaves.
Well,
So
that's their fault for having it on Game Pass and with console commands.
yep. Because I was also talking about that last console commands last night on open mic because I was playing
For
Subnautica.
Subnautica.
And one of my favorite games has console commands, but I beat the game before the console commands were discovered. So I was glad that I did that because I might have been tempted to do the console
Use them.
command method and then not actually play it, and I wouldn't have fallen in love with it and have it become one of my favorite games of the last decade.
Gotcha.
So, what else? You got anything else that you
I've
did
got
in
three
October?
more. I've got 3 more games I can talk about that I've done this
All right.
month. One of them I've been doing on one of these games. Technically, it's 3 that I've been playing on stream, and that's the Devil May Cry HD collection.
Okay.
So I've been playing these on stream. Sadly, it's considered one list for 1,000 for all 3 games.
Oh, I hate that. It's like
Yeah,
it's 3 separate games. Give me 3 different achievement lists.
that's how it is on PlayStation, but that's not how it is
Oh,
on Xbox.
yeah. There's
So I
some
would,
of them. Sometimes they do that, and sometimes they don't. It's up
yeah,
to the developer, really.
yeah. So on PlayStation, I would have gotten 3 platinums by the time I'm done with this. So
So, which DMC games are in that collection?
1, 2, and 3.
I'm doing it. Okay.
So the
I
ones that
don't
were
know
on the
much
PS2.
about the franchise other than I know that there's one that's hated, but it's actually a pretty good game if you ignore the spitting on the fans and the lore.
Oh, you're talking about DMC, the reboot. I haven't
Is
gotten to
that
that one yet.
2015? I think
Actually, we found out it was 2013. Whenever Kate was
2013.
talking to me last time I was on streaming, but from what I can tell, these games are fun. I'm still a Bayonetta fan.
So yeah,
Bayonetta's fun.
I've not actually played a DMC game. I'm pretty sure I would like them if I played them, so I can't say that they're bad
They
or
are
anything.
fun,
But
but
I
as
do
soon as you
like
get to that
Bayonetta.
hardest difficulty, I have a problem with how they implement that double trigger mode on enemies. Each game does it differently, and of course, the second game is just made super easy because they overpowered the guns. But you can play through the other difficulties without any issues just by just enjoying the game. But some of those enemies just feel like, yeah, just use the gun and stay away from them. But for DMC3, I'm still working on that one right now, and hopefully I'll be finishing it up on Saturday. So go watch me
Okay.
there to watch me finish it up. Thing is though, I've already beaten the game on the hardest difficulty. I just need to beat the game on the meme difficulty. The meme difficulty, it was added in DMC3.
Is
Yeah,
that really what it's called?
it's not what it's called, but everyone calls it that.
Okay,
It's
and why is
because
that?
it's called Heaven or Hell mode. Everything in the game dies in one hit.
Oh, but you too, right?
Yes,
Okay.
but you can just use your guns and kill everything that way.
So it's
Like the only
not
thing that's
terribly
actually killed me,
difficult.
the only thing that's actually killed me in this game is whenever a bomb enemy decides to spawn right next to me when I'm just shooting. So
Okay.
so I shoot it and it explodes, I die.
So, given that you have guns, it makes that difficulty not terribly hard.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's literally just there just for fun.
Okay. Meme difficulty, that makes sense.
But this will be something I'll talk about later. But I will be going through Devil May Cry 4 next month.
Okay.
There is this they have that difficulty, but then they have another difficulty above it where only you die in one hit.
But not all the enemies. Ooh, now
Yeah.
that's real difficulty.
But the thing is, though, apparently in that game they give you 3 of the orbs that bring you back to life. So technically, you can get it 3 times
Okay.
per level.
But oh, per level. Okay. Gotcha.
So
So, yeah, I haven't played Devil May Cry, but I have played Bayonetta twice, and I've got the completion on the 360 version and on the Xbox One version, and that
yeah,
was fun. I like that game.
I
I've not played 2 or 3 though, because they're only on Switch, which I
I
don't
played
have.
through. I started playing through 2, but
Or
because
sorry,
I'm
2 was on Wii U, and then 3 was on Switch, but I never
well,
have either of
they've
those.
since released Bayonetta 2 on Switch as well. So
Okay, that's what I thought.
yeah, I did play through about halfway through Bayonetta 2, but the main reason why I didn't really continue is because achievements. It's it feels like it's something missing. Something is missing.
Yep, I know what you mean. Because
Yeah,
I'm gonna get a Switch or Switch Pro probably whenever that comes out, and assuming it's backwards compatible, which it better be. Otherwise, I know a lot of people are gonna be upset about that. But
I I
probably when
would
the
be if
next
it wasn't for me just keeping my stuff anyways.
yeah, so whenever the next Switch or whatever it's gonna be called comes out, I'll probably finally get that, and then I'll get all the Switch games I've been wanting to play. First and foremost, Metroid Dread, and I'll probably
I've
get
That is the
the
only
Bayonetta
game I've
2 and
actually
3.
legitimately played through from start to finish on Switch. That's not like Smash Brothers or Mario Kart,
Yeah, so
and it's just because I'm a huge Metroid fan. So
yep.
you'll probably hear a couple bit about Metroid in the community night tonight.
Okay, nice.
So
So, all right, what? So that was all 3 of them then
no,
that you
that
had left
actually
to
I
talk
actually
about?
have 2 more because
Oh, okay.
like I said, this is one game technically according to Xbox.
Right. Okay. I wasn't sure if you meant that as 3 games or 1 game.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So I will leave the bastard game as for last, and
I
I will talk
wonder
about
what that might be.
Soul Calibur 5.
Soul Calibur 5. Okay.
This one was
I've
actually
played one Soul Calibur at a friend's house a long time ago for like 10 minutes.
to
So
be honest,
I know some of the main characters and I know some of the lore, but that's
if
about it.
you're half decent at fighting games, like I kind of
I'm not.
I'm not amazing at fighting games, so but the Soul Calibur games are actually pretty simple games because what's funny is that there's always something that can break the game's AI in those games, and it turns out to beat Soul Calibur 5's AI, all you have to do is take the guy with the big axe, just run up to the enemy and do a normal grab. Just keep grabbing him over and over again.
And how does that break the AI?
For some reason, if they break out of the grab or they have to get out of the grab, they aren't smart enough to actually do anything to try and keep you from doing another grab as often.
Does the grab do damage?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I was like,
it's the
how?
whole point of using the grab.
Okay, I was like, if
And
you
they
just
actually
keep grabbing them, what
in
does that do? But
this
you can
one
whittle their health
you
down.
can break the grab in every Soul Calibur, but in all the previous games, you didn't take damage if you broke the grab. They now made it so you'd actually take damage if you just get grabbed, but you still break out of it. It's just a very
Gotcha.
minimal amount. So you're
So
still
that way you
always doing
can
damage.
spam it to just
Yeah.
beat them, and regardless of
Yeah.
who they are,
I did get through most of the game though
without
without
having to
cheating.
resort to it.
There was a story mode that required you could only play as 3 characters. What's sad is that I mean,
And do you not get to pick who those are?
you don't get to pick them.
Oh, okay.
But the way that this game was, they wanted to try and make it like the next generation of characters. So pretty much some of the characters came back technically, but they were as new skins and personalities. But the move
Gotcha.
sets
But
were
they
the same.
played the same. Gotcha.
Move
Okay.
sets were similar. Like Keelik, the guy with the staff, was
That
he's
part.
actually changed to a weapon master because he went off and did something, but he got replaced. Xianghua has a daughter that replaces her. Um, um, Taki the ninja got switched out for her successor, and that's just her student. Um, Sophitia and Cassandra were replaced with Sophitia's twins that were always talked about in the story and Sophitia's story. And
Okay.
actually, the weirdest one I think Setsuko, which was the Japanese woman that used like a hidden blade and an umbrella. She got changed into a second move set for one of the twins,
Hmm.
which was weird.
I've recognized some of the names that you've mentioned.
Yeah, but your big names like Nightmare, Siegfried,
I recognize those names.
Ivy, of
Yep.
course. Ivy actually it actually is canonically that she doesn't age, so it makes sense that she would stick around for different generations.
Gotcha. Okay.
And her father Cervantes, who was the first wielder of Soul Edge in
I
the
recognize
series,
that name.
was the pirate.
Okay. Yeah, I was say I
Yeah.
recognize the name, and I remember him being the pirate guy. I didn't know that they were
They
related.
actually gave the Lizard Man an actual name this
Oh,
game,
rather than just Lizard
Aeon.
Man.
Yeah. Of course, Astaroth, and then Voldo. Voldo's the weird guy.
I remember those names. Yeah,
Yeah.
Voldo's kind of like the Vega from Street Fighter, right?
Oh no, he's completely weird. Like Vega actually seems like just a narcissist. Voldo is
Doesn't
apparently,
he have like blade hands though?
yeah,
That's what I meant more
yeah.
so.
But as a character, he's completely different.
Yes.
And of course, they had a couple of new characters, but I think I read up online that one of those new characters is actually an old character that lost their memory.
Okay.
So, and
So,
the guest
dude,
character actually made sense for that game. It was Ezio from Assassin's Creed.
was in Soul Calibur 5?
Yeah,
Sweet. That's awesome.
it actually feels like it makes sense because it was during the Renaissance era of that the Soul Calibur games take place,
Oh, I did
and
not know.
most of it's in Europe, so Ezio makes sense.
That's cool. I didn't know that Ezio was in any other games like
Yeah,
that.
he was the one that, to be honest, to me, he makes the most sense. But Link technically makes sense because he's a
Yeah, I knew
similar,
about
somewhat similar.
Link and Spawn and Yoda
Yeah.
and Vader
Well,
from, but those weren't Soul
Spawn and
Calibur 5. Those were
both
earlier
both
ones.
Spawn and Heihachi were
Heihachi, that's right.
were literally
Console
teleported.
exclusives.
Were literally transported in time to come back to
Oh,
fight
right.
in those. So, but what's funny is that those two characters are in the 360 and PS3 versions of Soul Calibur 2.
Yeah.
They actually were able to bring both of them in that for that one.
Oh, because
There's
'cause I
the
don't know
HD
which one
version.
it was, but I
It was the
remember that
HD
there
version on
was
360 and PS3 that you could download it. I don't think it's available anymore.
okay, because yeah, I remember one of the Soul Caliburs, each console got their own character.
Soul
PlayStation
Calibur
got
2.
Heihachi, that was 2. GameCube got,
3 was supposed
Yoda.
3
No, Link,
no, Link. 3 was
and
supposed to have
Xbox
guest
got Spawn.
characters, but it never ended up coming to fruition. It was a PS2 exclusive. I actually heard that it was Dante that was supposed to come in to Soul Calibur 3.
Oh,
That would have
okay.
been interesting.
So, which one was it that had Yoda and Vader?
4.
That was 4,
And
okay.
what's funny is that both of those characters aren't even that good. It's actually Starkiller that's the best guest character in that game.
Oh, I didn't know Starkiller was in it.
Yeah, from Forced Unleashed. It actually
Cool.
turns out he's actually not bad as a fighter, so he would actually be used in some tournaments. But Yoda, I think, was banned because half the
It's too
move
hard
sets
to
of
hit
everyone
him.
else,
It's
half
like
the
the
move set
odd
of everyone
job
else
of
doesn't
Soul
work.
Calibur.
Yeah, and Darth Vader just wasn't that good because he was just too slow and didn't have enough range.
Okay.
Even with the force powers, he didn't really do much.
So Yoda. So the question is: are Yoda and Vader better in Soul Calibur 4 than they were in Masters of Terrascasi?
I have never played that game, so I wouldn't know.
Although I don't know if Yoda was in that one, but I do know Vader was.
Like I said, I haven't played that one, so I wouldn't know.
I never had a PlayStation, but I played that game over at a friend's house a couple times, and I thought it was cool. But for some, so someone have to explain to me why that game gets so much hate.
And Soul Calibur 6, I haven't played that one yet, but the initial guest character was actually Geralt from The Witcher.
Okay,
Which
yeah, that's right. I did
which
know
does
about
make
that one.
sense, but it doesn't make as much sense as Ezio. Because Ezio
Right.
is from that exact time period and our exact world, which Soul Calibur is kind of based on.
Gotcha. Yeah, and
So
Geralt is from a
fantasy world.
similar time frame in a different world.
Yeah. And then there's 2 guest characters that they brought in as DLC. One of them was completely out of the blue, 2B from Nier.
Oh, okay.
And the guy from Samurai, the main guy from Samurai Showdown.
I have no idea.
It's a Neo Geo. It's an old Neo Geo fighting game.
I have a couple of those, and because in the early when Neo Geo started releasing all of
On
their
Xbox.
games, they were all had easy achievements. So I bought a couple of them without even looking at what they were, and they were all fighting games. I'm like, crap.
They're actually
So a
not even
couple
that
of
bad
them,
as fighting games. You can eventually do them.
I suck at fighting games and getting the complete. Even though these games have super low ratios, I don't know how I'm ever going to complete them because they are ridiculously hard for me.
For some of those games, it's actually just finding the right character with the right move and just spamming that move. That's
Yeah,
how you
that's
tend
gonna
to
be
do
my
with
best
AI.
bet.
But
Uh,
so yeah. So then we
so,
get to
so
the
did you get the completion in Soul Calibur 5?
yes. I actually ended up completing that on like Wednesday
Okay, cool.
because the last achievement I ended up doing while I was working because it was one of those rubber band ones.
Oh,
It's just that
haven't
I
done
had to
that
be.
in a
It's just
long
because I
time.
don't have a turbo controller. I had to be there to press A whenever every game was done. It's pretty much the entire achievement was just. Oh, sorry. But that achievement was just, oh, you have to move this amount of feet. So I was after I did every achievement, I had 16,000 feet. I needed 87,000.
Oh my goodness.
So it
Yeah,
ended up being
that's
6 hours that I ended up having to waste getting that.
that's a perfect example of something I was talking about when someone was asking me about achievements a few weeks ago about like when you've done everything else in the game and you have one achievement left, but it takes like 3 or 4 times more amount of time than what everything else in the game took, just for the sake of having a ridiculous to achieve achievement. You suck at making achievements. You should be fired. It's like
That's kind of what
you.
happened with Jump Force. There was an achievement for getting 1,000,000 gold, and it ended up being like that was where I spent most of my time doing everything instead of everything else.
Your longest grind achievement should if it's it should be maybe a little bit longer than it takes to get all of the rest of achievements. If you get all the rest of achievements and you still have a huge amount of time that takes for this one grindy achievement, you suck. I hate you.
Well, what if it's like Dynasty Warriors where you have to get everyone's rare weapon? In
Um,
those games, you tend to have to do a specific set of objectives in a specific time on a certain level with that character.
um, that I'm fine with. But if
Because
you had,
that's actual content, right?
yeah, exactly. But if you had like, let's say, you got all the other achievements in the game, but you have one more achievement and it's for, you know, staying alive for 100 hours or something like that.
Dead Rising.
I don't know. I'm just making something up off the top of my head. But you've done everything else and you've got everything but this one achievement in like 20 hours. Now you have an achievement that's like play the game for 100 hours. It's like, what are you thinking? Maybe for like 25 hours. So you put in a little bit more grind. But when you have this huge grind for this one achievement just for the sake of that achievement and padding out your runtime, you suck at achievements and you should not be making them.
Well, then again, Gears of War does it on purpose.
Yeah, that's different. I could go on a whole different tangent about Gears of War achievements.
I mean,
But,
you're talking to somebody that's seriously 1, 2, and 3. So
yeah, I will never get. I do plan to possibly get seriously 2.0 because that's the easiest one. It's just grindy. If I ever go back and get
do everything else first before you do that.
the multiplayer achievements, because I don't think I've played like any of the Gears 2 multiplayer, so I still have all the multiplayer achievements left. But I do plan to get the completion in Gears 2 at some point, but I'll never get it in Gears 1 or 3, that's for sure.
I've got one more game I'm going to talk about that I did this month, and it is the Bastard game.
Okay.
It is Mercenaries 2.
Mercenaries
It is
2.
a
I talked about that a little while ago.
let's just say it's an open world game with all the problems of an open world game. You only have one place where you respawn if you die or you come back into the game.
Oh, I don't. Was it? Someone was telling me about Mercenaries 2 because I talked about it on an open mic a month or two ago. Was
Maybe
it
it was
you
me.
that was talking about it?
Maybe it was
So-
me. But the only way you can fast travel in this game is by calling a helicopter to come pick you up, and then you got to get in the helicopter, and then you get to choose where to fast travel. And you can only fast travel to locations you've unlocked.
Well, that makes
So,
sense.
but here's the thing: you got to wait up like 15 seconds for the helicopter to come down because it has to come
It's
off screen
fast travel.
or off. It has to technically come off map, drop down so it can come pick you up, and then you get into the helicopter. So that already can
Be
give
annoying.
you an aneurysm, but there is an achievement where you have to capture all high value targets for each faction, and to capture them you can't kill them.
Oh,
And the way that game works, there's tons of enemies that love using rocket launchers.
I knew you were gonna say that.
And there's also
explosions everywhere, and you have to keep
yes,
this guy alive that you're trying
they
to
also they
capture.
also love using tanks. And here's the thing: there is a mechanic where you can use artillery in the game. Every time I've used artillery, even somewhat close to those targets, they end up getting hit by it. So I can't use most of my arsenal. So usually I just end up going in with a helicopter and trying to blow up all the tanks. And if I can't blow up all the tanks, I'll try to hijack a tank. Luckily, there's a mechanic where if you get to a certain amount of health, it you get like a minute of like super armor where you don't take any damage, and so you can like use that to find some health or hijack the tank. So, but to be able to capture the target, you had to run up to him, punch him, and then subdue him. So you pretty much tie him up. As soon as he's tied up, he takes 1 point of damage. He's dead.
Oh my god! You probably, unless you clear everything, there's probably people shooting at you,
Yep.
and it's very
And
and
then
they'll
to
die.
have them captured, you have to call in another helicopter to come down, and then you have to carry him to that helicopter. Now, if there's any anti-air or anything that's explosive, they will destroy that helicopter before you can get to it. Sometimes before it can even get down.
Now, can you get your target onto the helicopter, have the helicopter start flying away and get shot down?
Oh yeah, that's not a problem because at that point it's the pilot's fault.
But you can do everything and then put him in the helicopter and have him leave, and then
he is considered captured the moment he gets into the helicopter.
Okay, so even if he gets shot down, then you still got credit for it.
Yep.
But the helicopter might get shot down before it gets to you.
Exactly.
Oh, that does sound frustrating. That sounds. So I haven't played the Mercenaries games, but I have played all and gotten the completion in all of the Just Cause games. And there's a lot of similar things to that in the Just Cause 1 that were very, very frustrating. So I do recommend playing Just Causes 2 and 3. And if you like them, playing 4. I didn't like 4 as much as 2 or 3, but I definitely don't recommend playing Just Cause 1 because it has a lot of that same stuff where.
Oh, and here's another thing. Apparently an update broke something, and apparently achievements don't unlock at the end of the game.
Oh, so if it didn't, you have to play.
Luckily, I didn't have autosave on, so I actually made a save right when the final mission starts, and luckily all the captured targets actually counted as captured. So I ended up having to play through the final mission 3 times.
That's annoying.
The first time I played through it, I beat it, and as the final cutscene is playing, the game freezes.
Is the final level very difficult?
It's just more of you have to travel. You can skip most of the fighting in that level just by using a helicopter.
But okay,
so
first time it froze.
It's literally you're spending 5 minutes just traveling to the location that you need to get to.
So the first time the Xbox froze, and the second time I'm assuming you beat it and the achievement didn't unlock?
One of the achievements didn't unlock. Whenever the froze, it actually unlocked 2 of the achievements.
Oh, okay.
But what's crazy is that one of the ones that did pop during that was the captured all targets, because the final boss is considered a target you have to capture.
And so you got that achievement when it froze?
Yeah, I did get that when it froze. So, okay. But then one of the achievements decided it didn't want to pop. So then, because I still had the save from the beginning of because whenever you save in a level or in one of those missions, it only considers you at the beginning of the mission. It no matter how far into the mission you get, it won't save your location.
Right.
So what I ended up doing is I cleared my console cache, didn't connect to the internet, and then played through the level again and ended up getting the achievement that way. So sadly, that achievement doesn't have a timestamp.
Doesn't have a timestamp. Yep.
But
so
screw that game. It's now complete. It can burn in hell, and that's why I did those 4 other games.
That's what you needed your palate cleanser for.
Yes.
Totally understandable. Now, is Mercenaries 2, I'm assuming it's not backwards compatible?
It is not back. Actually, I think all of these 360 games are not backwards compatible.
Okay.
Because you see how I have the post-it notes?
Oh yeah, you categorize your games very meticulously.
For the blue, it means I've completed on 360. But as you can see, Devil May Cry I haven't finished quite yet.
You're still working on it.
Yeah, I'm doing that on stream. But if I had yellow, it would be backwards compatible on Xbox, on modern
Gotcha.
Xboxes. And
Okay.
of course, as you can see with green with Xbox One, I use green because if I use blue for everything, I'm gonna run out of blue really fast.
Gotcha. So I'm not sure if he's still in the chat, but Jerry Crow is saying great ramble from both of us. Thank you, Jerry Crow. It's always great seeing you here. You're a great support to the channel. I'm heading to check out my audio with Melee. Oh, he's sound checking for the town
Yeah,
hall, so he's probably not here anymore. But
he
thanks
might
for
be
hopping
back
in.
because that doesn't take too long.
Yeah, and Beard of Liberty hopped in and saying Just Cause 3 is a blast. Legitimately, not figuratively. It is like Michael Bay the game. It is just explosions galore.
Hey,
It is very much a blast in
speaking
that
of Michael
regard.
Bay the game, I had played that Battleship game based on the movie, and that was actually fun. It's an easy
But yes,
completion, but it's actually a fun game.
okay, cool. I didn't even realize that they made a game
I've actually
based
done it
on
on
that
360
movie.
and PS3.
Huh.
It's one of
But
those
yes,
games I did on both platforms.
nice. Just Cause 3 is a blast. Very much fun game. It's Just Cause 3 is my favorite in the Just Cause franchise. I freaking love that game. And one of the cool things about the Just Cause franchise is I was the first one on Xbox to have the full series completion after the final Just Cause 4 DLC released. So there were people who completed the Just Cause 4 DLC before me, but I was the first one who had the entire series completion.
Nice.
But if you go and look at it now, I'm not number one because there's like a Japanese stack of the game. So now people have more score
Gotcha.
in the series than I do. But I was the first one to have the series completion on Xbox.
Nice.
I'm proud of that. So, all right. Well, that wraps it up for what we've
What games are you planning
played
to do
in
next month?
October. So that leads us into our final segment of our plan for November. So, let's see here. My, what is it? You know what? I'm going to look at some stuff. So if you want to start off with something that you're planning on doing in
Of
October,
course,
I have a little digging to do.
it's happening this weekend, but I'm still going to be planning on finishing this game up.
So you're pretty close to finishing that off then?
Like I said, I just got to beat that meme difficulty and then go on. And then there's one more achievement where you had to get S ranks on every level in a certain difficulty.
That
Luckily,
sounds like a pain.
using a super costume and playing on an easy counts for that achievement.
Okay.
So I can.
So it's not too difficult.
Yeah. So once I'm done with that, I think I'm going to play a simpler game for one playthrough. I think I'm gonna play Metroid Prime 2 just so I can get away from Devil May Cry for a little bit. But then once I'm done with Metroid Prime 2, I'm gonna be starting up Devil May Cry 4.
Okay.
And I'm currently working on a compilation game, Sonic's Ultimate Sega Genesis Collection. That's what I was playing on last night.
Is that like one of the old arcade games? It's only got like 200 gamer score.
No, it's for the 360 and it was a disc, so it has like 1,000 gamer score.
Okay.
But it's like you do like one achievement in each game, and then that's the entire achievement list.
Okay.
And for most of the games, you can just do it in like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Because there was a couple of Sonic games that I played on that were part of Xbox Live Arcade, and one of them was some sort of collection. So I was thinking it might be the same one, but no, it was obviously not the same because you're talking about a disc game, and mine was not.
Yeah, and I think two other games I'm going to be looking into is Resident Evil 5 and 6's PvP modes because I'm actually someone who actually has multiple Xboxes and multiple accounts to do those type of things, and I just got an extra copy of 5 and 6 because I'm also a game collector. So these are also different variations of those games. So I needed them for the collection anyways. Gotcha. Like for 5, it was the gold edition, and then for 6 it's the archives. Sadly, for both of those, most of the extra content was on a DLC code.
Oh, bummer.
So it's not on the disc. But at least with Resident Evil 6, it came with the Damnation movie.
Oh,
one
cool.
One of the CGI movies. So
right, the good ones.
Yeah. So
from what I hear, I've watched a few of those CGI Resident Evil movies.
So you got a little bit extra goodness with that one, even though you don't get the DLC with other games like Skyrim, the Game of Year edition. You actually got DLC on a separate disc.
Yeah,
I prefer those type of re-releases.
Yeah, the whole
especially with the
really,
store shutting down next year in June.
yeah, with the whole like game of the year edition, which doesn't have anything to do with um like actually winning game of the year awards. Game of the year edition usually
Well, to
means
be
it comes
honest,
with
with the
all the
Elder Scrolls games,
DLC.
it actually made sense. Oblivion and Skyrim, I think, won some game of the year awards, so it made sense.
Right? Yeah, for those it makes sense, but
I think Arkham
in
Asylum also
general,
did.
Game of the Year edition just means it comes with all the DLC.
Yeah,
Um, but when the Game of the Year edition doesn't have that DLC on the disc and actually just comes with the code, it's like,
it's annoying. It's like, why?
come on, put it on the disc. We shouldn't need the internet to be able to get the full content.
And with some of that content, you could have just put it on the same disc because you probably had extra space,
Exactly. A lot of the time, there's enough space on the
especially
disc
on
that
PS3
was
versions.
unused.
Especially on the PS3
Or
versions since they're using Blu-rays.
yeah, I was using Blu-rays or put in a second disc. But yeah, this whole uh, DLC download code for the rest of the content is dumb. So I actually didn't. I had to realize that I didn't need to look it up because I already had it on my notes. I just hadn't looked at them yet. So, so for the BCM challenge I was talking about for November, my random game of the month is called Colot. It's like this. Um, I think the best way to put it is a walking sim, but it's kind of like a
Like Gone Home.
survival horror walking sim. I haven't played Gone Home yet, so I don't know.
That one's literally a walking simulator. You
I
just
have
walk
played a few
around. That's
walking
it.
sims though. Um, the one of them was really highly rated from what I hear. Called Dear Esther, and it was one of the most boringest games I've ever played in my life. Fortunately, it was very short, so it didn't take long to complete.
I think Gone
But
Home has an achievement where you had to speed run and beat it in like under 5 minutes or something like that.
if I remember correct, 'cause I've looked at the achievements for the game. I think there's one for like completing the game in under like 11 seconds or something stupid like that.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, how is
something.
that even possible?
If you know
Something
where you're
super
going,
ridiculously short.
to beat the game, you literally have to pick up a certain item and then that's it. So if you know where it is, you can end the game really quickly.
Yeah, I do have it on my wish list. So when it goes, it's been on there for like a couple years and it's never been on sale from what I've seen because I've heard good things about it.
I think I did it when it
Um,
was on Game Pass.
was it
I
on
think
Game
it
Pass?
I think it was on Game Pass for a bit.
I must have missed it then. But let's see here. It's got a
That
one
was
to 2
back.
hour completion, and
It's
yeah, one of
probably
them
not
is
on it anymore.
complete the game in less than a minute with no modifiers. One's get all the 24 journals with no modifiers in less than 10 minutes. I swear there was one about like doing it in like a few seconds, but maybe it was a minute. But should be able to go here to news. It was games with gold, and I
Oh, that's what it
missed
was.
it. Bummer. Because I made it a habit to make sure every month to go and claim the games with
At
gold
least
games, even if
download
I
them,
have
yeah.
no interest in them. I didn't even
Yep.
download them. I just go and acquire the license to it so I could download it
Same.
later if I wanted to, even if I have zero interest in the game. But I must have missed
Since I
that
have the
month.
3 hard drives hooked up to my Xbox, I just downloaded it.
So, yeah, I don't see anything on Game Pass, so that's probably what it was. It was on Games with Gold, and I missed it. So I've been waiting for it to
Oof.
go on sale. And the last time it was on sale was when it was Games with Gold in September of 2017. It's never been on sale since. Um,
Oof.
it's only $15, so if I have to, I guess I'll buy it for full price. But I'm very patient, so hopefully it'll go on sale at some point and I'll pick it up. But so I don't know about Gone Home because I haven't played it. But I know Colot is, from what I hear, it's basically a walking sim. It's like a 6 to 8 hour completion. I've gotten it as my random game of the month twice over the last, because I've the BCM challenge, he's been doing it for I think 5 years, and I participated in 4 of the 5 years, and that's been my random assigned game 2 other months before. So this is the third time I've gotten it, but this time I'm actually going to play it and complete it. Because not just because it's my random game of the month, but because like I was saying, every month there's a random challenge for the month. Like October was the head-to-head thing, which I didn't participate in, but in November it's basically you build your dictionary by
Mhm.
getting the completion in games, and every game that you complete, all the words that are at least 3 letters or longer and you don't already have them in your dictionary get added to your dictionary. and however many words you have in your dictionary at the end is how many bonus points you get. So the more games you complete, you want to complete games with lots of words in the title, so it builds towards that
And
total
you also don't want
easier.
to do 2 Resident Evils.
Yeah, you don't want to do multiple games in the same franchise for sure. So it's a pretty quick completion, and it's definitely not going to be something I'm going to be getting a duplicate word from another game, because there's no
The
other
Adventure
games
Time
with that
games are
word in
actually a
it.
really good games for that.
I have completed the Adventure Time Pirates of Enchiridion. I did that a few years ago, but I haven't played
Explore
any
the
of the
dungeon
other.
because I don't know.
Is that one of the names of the other games?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I literally, even though I've played one of the Adventure Time games, I seriously knows
Adventure Time,
nothing about Adventure Time.
explore the dungeon because I don't know. That's 7 words right there.
So
Because I and the don't count.
yeah, no, the would count, but that's an
Oh,
easy one to duplicate
yeah.
because there's lots of games with the word the in it.
And how
But
many
you will get it
how many
once, you just
games would
won't get
have
it the second.
because in it?
Not a whole lot that I can think of. But yeah, I think the is the only word I'm probably gonna get that's
Every
gonna be
time.
a duplicate on certain ones. I mean, it'll
Yeah.
count the first time, but then you get it again and it doesn't add again. But yeah, so that's one of the games I'm gonna be working on in November. Do you have anything else that you're gonna be working on in November?
And I think most of that stuff's going to be just because I feel like it. I mean, I might try a Mega Mind game on 360 because I've heard that one's pretty easy.
Okay.
But
So
most of the stuff is going to be on stream or stuff like that right now, especially
okay,
since the holidays are coming up.
gotcha. So a couple other games that I've planned out for that dictionary bonus is because I've been slowly, like I said, I don't really do RTSs, but I did do I completed it already, but I did Age of Empires 1, I think last year, because it's actually pretty easy to get to completion if you use some of the in-game cheats. And same with Age of Empires 3. I'm not doing Age of Empires 2 because it's like a 400-hour completion. So, but Age of Empires 3 is kind of like Age of Empires 1, where you can get the completion using the in-game cheats and stuff. So I've been using that game over the course of the year to keep my achievement streak up. If I'm like, oh, it's getting close to midnight and I haven't gotten an achievement yet today, I'll hop into Age of Empires real quick and get one of those achievements to keep my achievement string going. So I've been playing
I
it
haven't
for a
cared about
while.
I haven't cared about achievement streaks since one of my longest streaks got broken because of the timestamp breaking
Oh,
on
that
the achievement I
sucks.
did, and the timestamp was correct, but for some reason the streak broke.
Well,
So I
because
think it was on
you
TA.
can go and rebuild your streak if it makes a
I
glitch
did, and
like
it still
that.
didn't work.
Okay, that sucks.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I think I've got it's got like 68 or something achievements in Age of Empires. I think it's got like 78 or something, and I've got probably about 68 of them. So I've got about 10 achievements left in Age of Empires 3
One of these
to
days you
get the
should go through the
completion.
Halo Wars games so you can get the Halo stuff.
I'm tempted because I want to get because I do like having my
The
series
series.
completion percentage high. I'll never get it fully because of Master Chief Collection and the Lasso achievements, but I am tempted because those two games bring my Halo completion series completion down quite a bit. So I'm tempted, but I don't know if I want to do
If you
it.
ever need
I'll
someone to
have to
help
look
with
at the
the multiplayer
achievements.
stuff, I can always set up my second Xbox to help you out with that.
Okay. I will look at the achievements and I will consider it knowing that.
And also, to be honest, if you find some guides to help you with the campaign stuff, even the hardest difficulty isn't too bad.
Okay. I looked at the achievements for each of them when they came out, so years ago, and I haven't really looked at it since. So, given that info, I may look at the achievements and I may throw it into my backlog for once I start my next dive, because there's a lot of games in that dive once I complete my current dive.
And like I said, I'm not afraid of leaving a second Xbox on for you.
Okay, well, I'll take a look at those achievements and I might take you up on that at some point. Another one that I've been slowly chipping away at for 3-4 years now is the Walking Dead collection, which is seasons 1 through 4 all in all in one disc, and it is
There was that?
5,000 gamer score. It's there's 1,000 for each of the 4 seasons plus the side content of like day 400 and the Michonne DLC make another 1,000. So
I
it's
think the
one
only one
disc
I've played through is the
with
first
like
one.
so. I've played all of them before in their individual forms. Um, but this one is the collection that has all of them except for the final season, but which I have played that one as well. But that one is a little different because all the other seasons you'll get all the achievements just by playing through it because it's basically an achievement for completing each chapter. Most of the chapters are only like 10 or 15 minutes. There's a couple of chapters here and there that may take like an hour, um, which screwed me over one time, and I lost my streak because of it because I was like, all right, I'll do another. Because usually if I don't have an achievement by 11 o'clock at night, I'll be like, all right, I'll go to something easy to get an achievement to keep my streak alive. And this achievement was taking way too long. And I think I was starting to freak out. I'm like, all right, what's a different achievement I could get? And I couldn't find anything. And I ended up losing my streak because of it. And I was kind of
Oof.
pissed. But most of the chapters are pretty short. The thing that's different about the final season is there are achievements for completing each of the chapters, but there's also achievements within a lot of the chapters for doing something specific. So they are missable. And if you miss it, you got to go back and
Rewind.
play through the whole chapter again, which is a little annoying. But if you're playing through it with a guide, then it's easy enough to get the completion in a single playthrough. But that final season is not in the Master Chief Collection, in the Walking Dead collection. So I've probably done a little less than half of it. So it's more of, I mean, it's great. If you haven't played them, I definitely recommend them because they are great storytelling. Seasons 1 and 2 are the best. Season 3 was okay, but not as well regarded as the rest. And I'm trying to remember even what season 4
I can only
was.
take a Telltale game for so long.
Yeah, understandable.
I need
But
some
yeah, so
gameplay.
I'm a little less than halfway through it, so I'm planning on finishing that out. It's more of a time sink than it is to actually like get all the achievements because you basically just got to play through all the chapters. But especially if you've already done it before. But if you haven't done it before, I do recommend it because it is great storytelling because that's basically what it is. It's basically a playable movie where you pick your options or a
I
choose
did
your
have
own
my mom
adventure. Really.
play through the first season one time when she was at my house.
Okay. What'd she think?
She enjoyed it.
So yeah, my mom would be like probably freaked out by by it being a zombie game. Um, and then another one that I'm planning on completing is because I have one achievement left because I got glitched out of it and I've beaten the game like 3 times more or like 2 other times. And due to various things, I wasn't able to get the achievement. It's probably a game that most people don't know about. It's called Cryo Gear. And the reason why I played it is because it's a Metroidvania. And if it's a Metroidvania on Xbox, I will play it. And I have one achievement left, and it's for getting like the better ending. Because once you beat the final boss, you can go like one room over and get the bad ending, but when you can't just reload your save and beat the boss and do it the other way. When you beat the boss, it restarts the game, so you have to play through it again to get the other ending. So I played through it again, and when I decided I went for the good ending, which you have to travel back basically through the entire map, and you get like an hour and a half to do it before you run out of time. I made it back to where you have to go is the very first room in the game, and I ran into a glitch where the door was locked and I couldn't get in. And so I went back and forth over Twitter DMs with the developer a
Oof.
bunch trying to figure this out, and he couldn't figure it out either. So um so I
Way to
went
be a
through the
better
game.
tester than everyone tested his game for him.
Yeah, it's got a very small player base, so um so it's cool that he was DMing back and
Yeah,
forth with
that's
me because
definitely
it's a very
awesome.
small developer, so I was able to talk to them him directly. And he's like, here, he went and tried and troubleshot stuff, and he couldn't even get it to happen. So he's like, I'm sorry, man, I don't know. So I played through it again, and I'm stuck at, I beat the final boss, and I'm on the countdown part where you have to get back to the first room in the game. But there, in order to get back to that room, there's a certain item you have to get in the game, and if you don't get it, it's an optional item, so you don't have to get it to beat the game. But if you want to be able to get back to the first room in the game, you have to get it, and I didn't get it, and there's no way for me to go back and get it, so I got screwed out of it again. So I have to do like a fourth playthrough,
Well, that
and
third
make
time it
sure
felt
I
like it
get
was.
that item.
The third time it sounded like it's your fault.
I thought I was good, but I found out that I needed this item that I had the first time that I didn't realize that I
Actually,
needed.
you had it the first and second time.
Well, so the first ending, I went for the bad ending, which you don't need
Yeah.
any items because it's like one room over. The second time, when the door was locked, I did have it, and I didn't
This is why I
realize.
always go for the ending that needs more stuff on the first playthrough.
Well, I didn't know that you needed it in order. I just had it, and I didn't realize that was why I was able to get to the end, even though the door was glitched. So on the third playthrough, I was just beelining it to the boss, and I didn't get that item, but I didn't realize I needed it to get through this part of the game to get back to that first room in the game. So I got to do a fourth playthrough, make sure I get that one item, and then I'll be able to get to that final room, and hopefully it's not glitched again, and I'll finally get the completion in the game. Fortunately, the game is pretty short, so given that I played through it probably more times than anyone else in existence,
Because
there's like
speedrunners, I played it more.
there's like literally like I only found like one video on all of YouTube about of like someone actually playing the game. They only played like the first hour of the game.
Gotcha.
So there's like literally nothing on this game out there. There's no guides for almost anything. It's such a small game, a small developer. Like there's nothing on the internet for this game. So I probably know more about this game than anyone except for the developer. But fortunately, it's not a terribly long game, so I should be able to do that in a few hours. I just got to make sure I go get that item, and then get through it. So I'm hoping to finally get that completion. And then the last game I'm planning on working on is the Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy game, which was on Game Pass until earlier this year, and I had heard good things about it, so I played it, and I got the completion. And I think the final chapter in the game is chapter 16. So I completed the game and I got the final ending, but I never got the achievements for completing chapters 14 or 15, even though I completed them. So I went back and I completed them because it has chapter select, but that doesn't unlock the achievements if it didn't unlock. So I got to go through the whole game again to get those 2 achievements, even though I've already completed it. They just didn't unlock. So I'm doing that one because it has a bunch of words in the title, so it helps for that November dictionary bonus. So that is my plan for November. So we will see when we have this in about a month, how much of that I actually complete, and we'll talk about it at that point. So I think that about wraps it up for Achievement Chasers episode 1. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about achievement wise.
Nothing today.
All right, so go ahead and plug what you got going on.
I'll probably I'm gonna be on sometime tonight on Melee Games town hall tonight, which starts in about 2 minutes.
I will probably be there at some point tonight as well.
Yeah. And also this Saturday should be finishing up DMC3. Be doing that meme difficulty and trying to get those S ranks. Hopefully I finish that up, and then on Wednesday I'll be able to start Metroid Prime 2.
Nice.
I'll be playing
and
that
you do all of your streaming on Rumble, right?
I do Rumble, Kick, and Odyssey.
Rumble, Kick, and Odyssey. Cool. Okay.
Same. It's the same name, Dude1286. Although over there, look for the live channels on Odyssey and Rumble.
Okay.
Because I have archive channels for back whenever I didn't live stream on anything other than Odyssey.
Gotcha. Okay, I think I remember seeing that when I looked up your name. That makes sense. So, so I've got, I'll probably be on Melee's Town Square at some point tonight as well. I've got my next episode of Party Chat tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. with my special guest, my good buddy Paul Hadouken, as well as I'm hoping both my regular guests, not my regular guest, my regular co-hosts of Mark the Cyborg and Ryan from Legion Games will, they haven't confirmed, but I'm hoping they'll both be able to make it. And then immediately after that, we're going to be keeping it tight to our hour and a half. So it'll end at 1 o'clock Pacific. And immediately after that, I will be on the meme stream with the Legion of Memers tomorrow.
Nice.
I'm the guest on that. And then, next thing I got will be open mic next week, which I don't have a guest yet. So if anyone wants to be open mic guest next week, let me know. And last couple things we have here, couple chats. Beard of Liberty says that he does not have the patience for the lasso achievements, which I'm right there with you. I don't think I have the skill or the patience.
For everyone who wants to try and attempt the lasso runs, one, get some co-op people.
Yes.
It makes it so much easier because you don't get reset.
to the
you get
beginning of
reset
the
to the
level.
checkpoint. 2, get a piece of Scotch tape and go into a multiplayer mode of that game with snipers only, and then on
Oh,
that
put a
piece of
little
tape
dot.
put the do the circle of the sniper rifle. That'll be perfect for any weapon that you're not using a vehicle. For the vehicle, just go a
Ah,
little bit higher.
I've never thought about doing that for Halo, but I did think about doing that back when I played Rainbow Six.
Gotcha.
But I never actually did it, but I thought about it. So
I've
that's
done
a
it
great tip.
I did it for all the
Be-
lasso runs, and that definitely made it much easier.
So for anyone who's not familiar with why he's saying to do that, it's because with the lasso, it hides your HUD, so you can't see anything. No ammo, no health, no grenades,
You don't
nothing.
even have your you don't even
You
have
don't even
your
have your crosshairs.
stressors. Although I do like that Infinite. I think if I remember correctly, Infinite does allow you to keep your crosshair.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't played it yet, so I will have to take your word for it.
There is a built-in lasso achievement, but it is the easiest lasso of the entire series.
Because you can use the scarab gun or whatever to
Not
get.
just that, one of the skulls is infinite ammo.
Oh, nice.
So even if you couldn't use that gun, you could still use rockets and sword.
Okay. Excellent. So, all right. And the last thing we got here is Insidious Bliss, who enjoyed our rambles on about achievements, saying that he looks forward to our next episode. So, we don't have a date or a time yet, but we will figure that out, and we will let you all know once we've got that figured out. So, that does it for Achievement Chasers episode 1, which I had a lot of fun. And this went a lot longer than I thought. I figured it would probably be like an hour, but we're at 2 hours now. So,
well, I think
had
it's because of how many games I had.
Yeah. So I had a blast, and I look forward to our next episode of Achievement Chasers as well, probably late November, early December. So we will see you
Probably
all.
best to do it early December because of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, agreed. So we'll let you know once we get that figured out, and enjoyed this and loved having you guys all in the chat. We will see you over at the Melee Games Town Square, and everyone have a great weekend. And in the meantime, game on.